Okay, so this topic has been heavily requested of me. I was considering making it a main channel video, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of done with making meme videos on the main channel for just a little bit. Maybe I'll get back into that in the future. But right now, this will suffice. I don't really want to dig up a bunch of research papers and scans for what I'm about to tell you, so some of this will have to be trust me, bro, but, you know, it is true. Some of it will be kind of bro talky, but I do think that there is a definitive answer for this topic, and there are many things to consider based on behaviors of animals and people that many people have not considered. So with me today, I have the podcast team here. You know, I got Crisis and Clyde. We're all going to shoot some and then kind of go over some ideas of how to go. Now, there are two ways that this debate has been formulated. The first one is that 100 people jump the gorilla at the same time. And then the second one is one person at a time. So it's like a gauntlet kind of thing. Can a gorilla run a gauntlet on 100 people? Now, the first one is pretty easy. Okay, it doesn't require rocket science to understand that 100 people would defeat one gorilla. So let's bring up some facts for one. A gorilla is not a super predator, King Kong murderer creature, and they are quite inconsistent, right? Just like every other animal, they are skittish. They'll run away from ducks. If they see 100 hairless monkeys running at them, they're probably going to freak out, okay? They're probably going to be terrified, all right? They are not built to eat and destroy and fight forever. For one, gorilla attacks are inconsistent. So, first thing to consider, a lot of people have been referencing my video, actually. A lot of people learned from that video that at one time, one of the only recorded killings of a gorilla of a human is that he potentially ripped him in half. Now, some people would be like, I think that this was like a murder, and then they said it was a gorilla or something. Either way, it has been attributed to a giant, very powerful silverback gorilla that ripped someone in half. Is it possible? Not impossible. We don't know the statistics of the person. We don't know exactly what happened, like if he just tore him in half or there's some type of wear and tear, if it was like over time he accomplished this. Either way, that is one of the only recorded killings of a gorilla on a human, but that's not one of the only recordings of an attack of a gorilla on a human, and every attack of a gorilla on a human is inherently angry and violent. So, some things to consider is that some older people have been attacked by gorillas and mauled by them for 30 minutes straight. Okay, sometimes gorillas have broken out of zoos and attacked people. Sometimes it's more quick, sometimes it's slower. These creatures are not designed like a tiger is, okay? A tiger is designed to know to go for your throat or some vital organs. A gorilla is not instinctually designed to know your vital points or to attack you or fight you like a bear. Bears are naturally designed to wrestle and wrestle, get vital points and advantages through physical confrontation. Gorillas are made mainly to aura farm each other and eat berries, okay? That's why they run away from ducks. Now, some things are scared of random animals, like a lion might be scared of a snake or a hose, but you get the idea. These gorillas are not mainly meant for high-octane killing scenarios, and they are on average hunted to death by leopards, right? Leopards will hunt them down. There's rumors that they'll chomp off their balls when they're sleeping to try to remove their morale. These are rumors in villages and so on. And then they will slowly hunt down the gorilla, who will be secreting pheromones that it's afraid of the leopard. So these are, quite honestly, herbivores and are quite honestly victims in their habitats more often than the aggressors, okay? Now, versus humans, this is where it gets debatable, and we can go over a lot of things, but the most important and last point I'll bring up before these guys get onto it, I'm just kind of laying out some groundwork here. People think gorillas are these hyper-lethal, King Kong calculated Mike Tyson boxers, when they're really just like these feral animals that don't have killing instinct like a lion or a tiger or something like that. The next thing to consider is that people like to attribute these battles like they're a video game, okay? So when you think about, oh, he's going to fight 100 people, he's just going to fight endlessly like he's in Baki, right? Like Baki versus 100 guys, that intro scene. It's not like that. It's not like a Dark Souls battle where he's fighting 100 hollows and his stamina bar regens. This creature has a limited stamina bar, and not only that, he has a heart and cardiovascular risks, and it is reported on average that these gorillas can get into intense battles. They are designed for high intensity, quick volume energy bursts, and not for long stamina matches. Like a human is made for stamina endurance. They walk after animals for 40 miles until they get tired and die. That is their normal hunting strategy. A gorilla will have a quick burst of energy for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then it will get tired, get passive, and then off and get scared. If its testicles get injured, it will get psychological, physical, and emotional damage, and it will reduce its ability to fight. And so you need to consider, one gorilla can maul a person for 30 minutes straight, okay? Is it realistically going to brawl and perfectly box, kill, rip apart, and King Kong 100 people? No, okay? Its heart physically can't handle doing that, all right? It's just not going to happen. Especially, let's be real, we need 100 people willing to fight, okay? You can't just have like 100 people, like 50 of them are women or 25 of them are children. We need 100 men, all right, as stated, ready to fight this creature. Like you need, I don't know if you need Arwen from Attack on Titan, like, men charge, and everyone's just willing to die like they're attacking a Titan or something, okay? But 100 men willing to fight this creature, it's going to get worn out, just like every other beast humans have hunted down in history. It's going to get pummeled, eyes gauged out, balls stomped. It's going to lose the will to fight, and it will die some way, somehow. Its skull is not made out of titanium, okay? It doesn't have it's not a Kryptonian with bulletproof durability. Not even a bear is bulletproof, okay? So this creature will succumb to cardio, okay? That is just how it will end up. Even if it rips 3 guys in half, it's not going to last that long. It's not going to go the way you guys think it will. It suffers brain damage and heart problems just like any other creature and has very high stress levels. It's not like a human boxer. You imagine a UFC fighter even fighting for 20 minutes against bums. They're very calculated. They're breathing properly. This creature's panicking, freaking out, has no mental coordination. Not going to last that way. But I've yapped enough. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts now that I've laid out some of the groundwork there. And yeah, you guys go.
I'll add to that too. Yeah, I have a list of points in front of me that sort of add to what you were saying. And the first thing is that people have like this weird view that gorillas are these very articulate, calculated fighters, which they're just not. They don't even really seek combat a lot with other species, and they eat plants. They're not necessarily like a predator style of animal, and people really have this false equivalence that they are. They're not like that. They get hunted down a lot by other animals in their vicinity. They usually hang out in groups. They're actually relative to humans in size. The only difference is they're a lot more dense and muscular. So, of course, the average gorilla, especially a big silverback gorilla, is going to be far larger than our biggest like strongman or our UFC fighter and so on. To give you an example, Mike Tyson thought he could fight one, even though obviously he would die to it. He believed that he would have a chance, so that should give an idea of an estimate to the size and scariness that one could be.
They're about as heavy as a sumo wrestler, by the way, on average. But
there you go. As Seth pointed out, they're not used to fighting not just multiple enemies at once, but imagine from its POV, if it sees 10 humans yelling and screaming at it, 6-foot-tall men ready to fight, it's probably going to run off. Like, they're very peacock-like animals where they puff up their chest, they try to intimidate you before they even get into a fight. It's one of the main things they do every time you see them on video. They're always about, like, stature and trying to look stoic before they even get into combat. They have zero technique. They're scared of small birds. There's countless videos of them freaking out when geese or ducks and other weird things attack them or even just chase after them. When it comes to the prospect of, like, how the fight itself would really go, it's like 10 6-foot-tall men would be a problem if they were trained and intending to actually kill the thing. If they all pile onto them, they're going to be a problem. If they're going to go for vital areas, obviously the genitalia, the eyes, the throat, and so on, I'd say you could probably do it like this, right? You'd have a couple of guys where it's like, listen, you're probably going to get f***ed up, but we need you guys to run in first, and then the other men are going to go from behind or attack from really bad angles and f*** it up, and it's just going to die. Like, I was seeing crazy takes, like people saying that like a handgun wouldn't take down a gorilla, as if like some random firmware update came out where they're now bulletproof all of a sudden. I just don't get where this idea is coming from.
Yeah, when I did my gorilla versus grizzly bear video, I pointed that out too as an example of their durability, right? Like, gorillas were getting hunted back in those times, poached in the 1800s, and then grizzly bears were considered invincible in comparison. So these things were probably vulnerable to musket fire. They have no slash resistance. That's why they get preyed upon by leopards. And they're very scared of leopards and canine-like creatures or anything with sharp claws that can slash. They have low slash resistance. And some parts of their skull are a little bit similar to humans in durability. They could suffer some brain damage. Obviously, it'd be way, way harder. But if it got tired and people are curb stomping it out like crazy, it's getting tired, it's panicking, it's going to freak out. Maybe it kills a few guys if it's like, you know, super gorilla and it's ripping someone in half. Which, by the way, that feat is apparently legendary, even by today's standards. So normally they're mauling one person for many minutes, let alone that.
Again, to really like harp on the technique aspect, but gorillas don't really know how to fight by the standard that we would assume. They're not going to square up and box in like some wide stance, Conor McGregor bladed stance and counter every human that comes in with a one hook, one shot punch. It's not going to be like that. It's going to swing wildly. It's going to rely on its teeth, which is actually its main weapon. What it will do is it will individually bite every human that it grabs a hold of, and that's a problem because it has to do that once or twice per turn, which means other humans can attack it from behind, from the side. 10 is enough. 20 is more. 30 is too much. 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. It is such a one-sided situation that I don't think people really have an understanding. And not everybody, of course, it's a generalization here, but I don't think most average Joes really understand not only the size disadvantage that the gorilla is actually in, because it's not that big like, say, a grizzly bear is, and it's also nowhere near as technical of a fighter. It's gonna get startled and probably run away, if anything, once it sees how many humans are after it. And bit of a shock here, but people hunt gorillas in real life and have been doing
With
it
weapons,
since before the overuse of guns.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Let me see, I want to make sure I go through everything here, but the stamina point is a very good point too, because as someone that makes videos on, say, the UFC and other martial arts related stuff, one of the biggest things that we have as an advantage as humans is that we're stamina based. We have probably the best long distance movement of anything that's alive on this planet. It's how we used to kill things back in the caveman days. We would just walk after them for miles and miles and miles, days and days and days, and then they would eventually get too tired and you would hunt animals which normally you'd never have a chance against. When it comes to UFC fighters and boxers, these guys fight for literally an hour sometimes without stopping. A gorilla is going to get maybe 5 to 10 minutes of maximum output before it gets overwhelmed by all these humans. It's not just one-sided, it's actually unfair. Like, I feel bad for how the gorilla would do because they would lose. It would be a better argument if it was 10 controlled gorillas with Xbox 360 controllers in the back of their head. Otherwise, they're just cooked. It's one-sided.
One more thing I want to add, too, is that some humans, you hear stories of them fighting and reacting and managing a fight against a lion, a mountain lion. Not saying they'd ever win one, but some people have reached into the throats of crazy creatures, stunned them. So, I mean, if a man can survive an encounter with a mountain lion, survive a bunch of slashes, and then get its legs around its throat. Now, I'm not saying a man would beat a gorilla that way or that would be likely, but if one man could somehow kind of out-technique a mountain lion, even if it is a very rare, unlikely, 1% chance of ever happening, 100 men jumping this gorilla, man, come on. You know what I mean? It's just common sense. That thing's going to get tired, choked out, eyes gauged out, freaking out, not even wanting to fight, just wanting to run away and get away. These animals are not people with a bunch of pride that want to, like, I slaughtered 100 men that day. It's not like some glory statement. It does not want to be there. Okay, let me just say that.
They just want to eat and fucking chill. Like, literally, that's their only mentality. It's like, they just want to chill.
There's not much more I can add to the dynamic. I think I would probably just extrapolate on a couple of points. Obviously things can be revised as we discover more, but the story as it goes nowadays is that humans actually hunted the saber-toothed tigers to extinction. And I think that correlates pretty well to, as well, it's been documented that humans have hunted gorillas. And you'll just see this oftentimes throughout history is when there is an apex predator among the animal kingdom, the humans will then coordinate, use tools, use their greater intellect, and go after them and try to curb their population. And I think the saber-tooth is a good example because, like we've iterated a few times, the comparisons made between these gorillas and big cats, or even leopards, which, compared to a lion, compared to like a Bengal tiger, for instance, they are pretty much fodder compared to other large cats, and they hunt gorilla, they take them out. So I think that kind of establishes a pecking order out right there, where just the human's abilities to coordinate, to outthink these animals, which, it is animal instinct. That's what they're operating on. Even for, as smart as a gorilla could be, we could train it sign language and it could communicate very basic rudimentary concepts, but it's going to get outplayed, even just a matter of patience, right? Like, if you really had like some general guy on the field there, all right, let's send 10 people at a time. Even after that, like Clyde kind of expressed, 10 people, the gorilla's exhausted, right? So send in another 10, it's just going to take the gorilla out, wear it down. That's even ignoring the notion that the gorilla might have heart problems. I mean, this is not a scenario that gorillas are in often. Gorillas are not getting jumped by 100 people. That's just not something that they've evolved.
They're
to
thinking it's
defend.
gonna run in like throwing like God of War combos, like it's a hack and slash.
Yeah, no,
no, it's gonna be scared.
To add to that, even if we did have a controller plugged into one, like let's pick like the most abnormally big gorilla, you don't have much tools to fight against even 20 men. 26 foot tall men that are actually like there to fight it.
You have to pace yourself perfectly. You have to win in 15 to 20 minutes, dude. While like one-shotting every person involved. You have to take out like 5 people a minute.
Yep.
That's not happening. A
Yeah,
gorilla
yeah.
is not taking out 5 people a minute. It's not happening. A gorilla can attack one person from 5 to 30 minutes alone. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Sure, maybe they could like, rah! Like rip him like Samson over his head and tear him in half, like he's not doing that 5 times a minute. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
come
intense,
on,
high
dude.
pressure.
Like I want to add to that, like the gorilla in theory, if it had that intelligence, I'm sure it would do far better. And don't get us wrong with this too. It can kill any of these men in combat, like any of them when it comes to one-on-one or one-on-two, like it will win that encounter. Don't get that wrong, and especially the Mike Tyson example, but I want to stress this is a purely numbers game where it is outnumbered, it doesn't have technique, it's not an intelligent fighter. It's going to rely heavily on grabbing and biting, which leaves it open to being hit by the other humans. Humans are incredibly intelligent. There's a reason we've almost killed off every single major predator on this planet. I just think it's extremely one-sided, and I've got nothing more to add. It's actually really unfair on the gorilla.
I'm surprised you guys let it go to 100, It's like, why not 10 first? Let's go over 10, I don't know. So apparently, here's scenario 2. Scenario 2 is one at a time gauntlet style. Now, based on the information I've presented, I'll kind of let you guys take more of the floor with that one. What do you guys think about the one at a time gauntlet style? So one person goes in at a time. Can the gorilla take out 100 people in a row?
I mean, it seems like what we've sort of presented thus far is that even still is pretty unlikely, just considering all the fatigue that the gorilla is going to be accumulating, and the fact, again, that you've cited that gorillas and humans, even in 1v1, they have prolonged encounters. I mean, the gorilla has, stamina issues. It's eventually going to tire out, even if it starts out maximum adrenaline. I mean, these things, it's instinct. It's not going to pace itself. There's only so many ways to say that, where these humans, depending on the scenario, I mean, maybe if a new one spawns, like every time one is killed and they just have no idea what happened before. But if they have any notion of like, okay, you can tell that a gorilla was maybe injured here by the last guy, focus on that, the gorilla is going to tire out. And I think it just comes down to, again, just a numbers game. They're definitely going to kill the first maybe 5, I mean, to being generous. But even still, if one person can drag that gorilla into a 10-minute fight or something, or like a 5-minute fight,
even if it's just like dominating, freaking out on him for 10 minutes, trying to pummel him, it's like...
That's not smart either.
That's
that could be to the gorilla's detriment. It's like he'll brutalize the first handful, but then he's out, right? And so the next like 85 guys have exponentially better chances.
And this is how we hunted animals back in the day. We'd just walk at them.
Yep.
We'd walk at them until they can't even fight anymore. That's why I have this gorilla. He's going to be panting, freaking out. His heart's going to be hurting. Someone gets a triangle choke with their legs or something on it while it's blinded. It has no balls. Like, who knows? There's so many options. And also, another thing, they think these gorillas are made out of titanium. Like they're a Viltrumite superhuman creature thing. Not really. Not really like that crazy. Sure, their skulls are more reinforced, but it's not something, like tons of curb stomping. It's just going to tank it infinitely. Like it's some power scaling, like Shonen Jump anime thing where you do 0. That's not how it works, okay? Still has a squishy brain, still gets tired. Its skull is still vulnerable to massive concussive blows from like endless curb stomping. If it's on the ground panting, it's not going to like it, okay? Especially by 100 people.
That's something that's even been observed in like fiction a lot, right? An example I like to use is when the Hulk fights Wolverine, he often just targets his brain because it's, even though his bones are unbreakable, his skull still is subject to G-forces. It's still subject to bouncing around inside of its skull. And so the gorilla would just be experiencing that exponentially over time with each new rejuvenated guy in this scenario where it's just one after the other, one at a time.
I have a breakdown to add to this too. There's a quote I heard one time. It was in regards to a UFC fighter called Cody Garbrandt, and they had this thing up on their gym on one of the walls that said that cardio makes cowards of us all. And what would happen with the gorilla, which was really good what you pointed out, Crisis, is that This thing isn't going to pace itself. It's not going to also be smart enough to realize, like, I have to conserve energy in each strike very particularly to know that I have 100 of these hairless monkeys coming after me one by one. It's going to probably kill if it's one by one. I reckon it gets past about 10 to 20 because what it will do is it's going to overpower any human man when it comes to grabbing it. If its intention is to kill, it will just grab and it will kill with a lethal bite, or it'll rip an arm off or do something crazy. I could be generous and say that's going to happen, but it's going to get to a stage where it just runs out of energy and it's panicking and it doesn't know what to do. If you have at least 5 to 10 humans kick that thing in the balls or do some damage to a vital like an eye or punch it in the throat a few times with some heavy strikes where it just happens to land, dude, you get like 20, 30 men in, it's done. It'll eventually be cooked. I feel bad for the gorilla. It's really one-sided.
Imagine all of the zookeepers just trying to put down a gorilla, let alone 100 people. Yeah, I guess the last thing that people bring up is if a gorilla rips someone in half as the first person, like just total Samson rip him in half mode, are the rest of the people going to want to fight, is everyone else going to do it? Now, I guess like one of the premises is that everyone's like, I'm in there, I'm ready to fight this gorilla. Like, if you sign up, you're ready to fight it. No matter what you see, you're going to try to take it out. That needs to be the idea for sure. You don't need people that are like, hey, I'm just gonna be scared and then just hide in the corner while the gorilla takes a nap because I watch him tear someone out. I don't think that's the hypothetical. The hypothetical is like, could it take 100 people willing to fight it in a row?
I mean, also on the inverse of that, would a gorilla want to fight if it just saw 100 dudes running at it, like screaming?
Like
people obviously want to see the most like optimal version of both, and I think with how we've explained it, it kind of goes like that. Even if we have 100 Mike Tysons, they're like, yo, put me in there. I want to knock this gorilla the out. It's like it ain't really gonna go that way. Like I feel bad for the gorilla again.
Yeah.
It is one-sided. The humans win in both scenarios because stamina when it comes to the one by one, and then when it comes to a group, it's like we know how gorillas act in the wild. A lot of the time, they're very like peacock-like. They're just all about like the way that they look to get other enemies to off. And then when they fight, it's 1v1s or 1v2s at maximum.
People think I don't know. How do they think gorillas? How strong are they really? How much can they lift? How much can they sustain? It's, there's that trope in fiction, or kind of like the Thanos and Infinity War fight where they're all just grabbing him, like they're all just ganging up on him.
Yeah, it would be like that Thanos scene.
Yeah, like if 100 people just jump on the gorilla and then like are jumping on each other, kind of in that like trope where if the character's super strong, they'll just like shrug everyone, dogpiling him off. The gorilla's not doing that. Gorilla cannot lift.
They think it's going to be like the Neo scene from The Matrix 2. He's going to be fighting off all the agents in the park.
A gorilla could not lift 100 grown men all on top of it, like crushing it.
It's not even that physically powerful anyway. It's not,
It feels like, Seth, that like a lot of the mental perception of gorillas is just like Aura Farm from King Kong.
It's King Kong. They think it's King Kong, yeah. Anyways, guys, that's really all there needs to be said, or else it's going to be like an hour-long video. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. I know a lot of it's sort of trust me, bro language, but there's not really much to work with. They have limited stamina. They're very fearful. They freak out very hard. Humans have been pummeled by monkeys and gorillas for 1 through 30 minutes for various times. They're not exactly expert killers, per se, even if they have killed someone in the past through crazy biblical level slaughter of that one guy in the woods that time. Reported on that in my video, but it's not the norm. They don't do that often, and even if they did, they're not doing it to 5 people in a minute for 100 people. Okay, they're gonna get too tired and freak out. So that's all that needs to be said. Thank you, Clyde and Christ, for joining me for, I don't know, just for this little podcast talk, I guess. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, this was fun. I mean, I got a closing quote. Justin Gaethje once said that 2 men can do whatever they want with you, so imagine what 100 people could do to one gorilla. Just keep that in mind. Thank you for having me on.
Peace, everyone.